This is William James Brown. In 1958, at the age of 18, he would be arrested and charged with the crime of breaking and entering, and it was the best thing that ever happened to him. Why? This arrest became the catalyst for William, better known as Gates, to launch an MLB career as one of the game's greatest pinch hitters.
When Gator Brown came striding out of the dugout, the citizens of Detroit arose to show the league's leading pinch hitter how much they appreciated his record-breaking contribution.
So what happened? How does going to jail get you into the big leagues? In the small town of Crestline, Ohio, where Gates grew up, his athletic talent was already apparent even as a teenager. He was a star running back who was being recruited by several Big Ten schools.
Football was my best sport. I always dreamed of being a football player, but I played baseball and basketball. Our school had football, baseball, basketball. I always dreamed of being a football player. That was my goal.
He had the speed of a track star, the agility of a basketball player, and the power of a future baseball slugger. His natural athleticism was undeniable, but Gates, like so many young men who grew up in small, desolate, and poor towns, was also drawn to the wrong crowd. After his sophomore year of high school, Gates would be ordered to spend his junior year at the Boys Industrial School for juvenile offenders in Lancaster, Ohio. He was permitted to return to his hometown Crestline High School for his senior year, but was banned from participating in sports. And things would only get worse from here. By the age of 18, Gates found himself on the wrong side of the law, arrested for breaking and entering, a charge that would change the course of his life forever.
1958, I got sent away to, the penitentiary for robbery, armed robbery.
He was sentenced to a 22-month term at the Ohio State Reformatory. And yes, that is the prison from the Shawshank Redemption. It was here Gates would be offered the chance to set out on his very own path to redemption when a prison guard took notice of Gates' muscular 5'11", 200-pound frame and encouraged him to try out for the prison's baseball team. Gates took the chance and tried out as a catcher. The team's coach, Chuck Yarman, was awed by his raw ability with the bat and considered that a future in baseball might lead Gates out of a life of crime.
And I played in 58 and 59 in the institution. And at the beginning of 59, the athletic director came to me and said, "Hey, Gates, you look like you're a pretty decent ball player." He says, "I know a couple of scouts, and here's what I'll try to do for you. I'll try to bring them in and look at you."
So he wrote to several major league ball clubs, including the Detroit Tigers. Soon enough, in fall 1959, Detroit would send scouts over to the prison to check out Gates. They were impressed, too. So impressed, they called former Tiger Pat Mullen, a man who was about to become the Tigers' top scout. Mullen made the trip from Detroit to see Gates himself, and Gates would respond by hitting a monstrous home run in front of him. Mullen convinced the Tigers they needed to sign him, and so they did. But there was one problem. Gates still had a prison sentence to finish.
They gave me a special hearing with the parole board, and the warden had to get involved, and I got an early release. And
the Tigers were able to help get Gates paroled a year early, and then signed him to a $7,000 bonus pact right after he got out. Gates, who had also received interest from other teams while in prison,
I had a choice to make between Cleveland or Detroit.
Stated the reason he signed with Detroit was
Detroit was a good ballpark for a left-handed hitter. And not only did I choose Detroit for that reason, but they didn't have any black ball players in 1959. So I figured if I was as good as I thought I was, my opportunity would be better with Detroit.
Gates was now a professional baseball player, but he still had another hurdle to climb, the minor leagues. In 1960, while on probation, he would start his career in the Tigers organization with the Duluth Superior Dukes in the Northern League as an outfielder. And he stood out immediately with 10 homers, 13 triples, 30 stolen bases, and a .293 average in 121 games. In 1961, he would spend most of the season with the Durham Bulls in the Carolina League, where he would belt 15 homers with a league-leading .324 batting average. In '63, Gates started the season in AAA, hitting over .30 and would be called up by a struggling major league organization in need of some new talent. On June 19th, facing the Red Sox, with the Tigers down 4-1 in the fifth inning, Gates Brown would be called to pinch hit, officially making his major league debut. And he did not disappoint. He hit a 400-foot home run. He had made it. Gates had gone all the way from prison to the big leagues. He may have still been surrounded by walls, but instead of keeping him in, they were now keeping fans out. He would finish his rookie campaign with a respectable .268 average, along with 2 home runs, mainly as a pinch hitter. The following year, he won the starting left field job and hit .275 with 15 home runs. However, in '65, he would lose that starting spot and be returned to his role as a pinch hitter, where he would hit 10 home runs in half the at-bats. The Tigers took notice of his ability to contribute in clutch moments as a pinch hitter and kept him in a similar role for the '66 season. That year, he would only hit for a .266 average overall, but in pinch hit situations, he hit .325. He had a disastrous '67 season, hitting just 187 in 51 games before being sidelined by a wrist injury. The Tigers became concerned with his poor play and injury issues, so they decided to bring in another player, Eddie Matthews, as the team's primary pinch hitter in the offseason. But Gates would return to spring training with conviction. He wanted to redeem himself yet again and prove everyone wrong, and he would. He put together not just the best season of his career, but perhaps the best season of pinch hitting in Major League history. He started the season on fire, hitting a game-winning home run in his first pinch hit at bat of the season. And it just didn't stop. He finished the season with a staggering .370 average. He had redeemed himself once again. Gates enjoyed continued success as a pinch hitter for the rest of his career, even hitting for a .339 average in 1971. And he would even become Detroit's very first designated hitter in 1973. He would retire in 1975 at the age of 36 and transition into the role of a scout for the ball club, later becoming the Tigers' hitting coach from 1978 until 1984 when he decided to move on from baseball. Gates Brown's story isn't just about baseball. It's about second chances, redemption, and proving that where you come from doesn't have to define where you end up. From the prison yard in Ohio to the batter's box at Tiger Stadium, Gates showed that talent can come from anywhere, and sometimes all it takes is someone willing to believe in you, even when you've made mistakes.
I'm sitting in that 4x6 cell, and I'm saying to myself, Gates, your whole life is just wasted now,
And maybe that's why, during the tail end of Gates' career in 1973, the Tigers took a chance on Ron LeFleur. Another man with a troubled past serving time behind bars. Another man who would go on to have perhaps an even more successful MLB career. They'd seen firsthand what could happen when a guy with a rough past got the right opportunity. An opportunity for redemption.
Go get him, Tiger. Row.